But of course, we brought you live coverage all day yesterday of CEO Mark Zuckerberg's testimony as he was grilled by lawmakers over that platform's cryptocurrency project Libra. And yesterday, House Financial Services Chair Maxine Waters spoke with Yahoo Finance about the timeline for the currency after the hearing ended. Take a listen.
I don't know what Libra is. I don't know how long it's going to take for us to find out and learn what it is and regulators to make some determination about whether or not we can create laws for good oversight. And so I have no idea what the future timetable would be if, in fact, it gets done at all.
All right, the one thing that was very clear from yesterday's hearing was that Mark Zuckerberg had stated that it will not move forward, Libra will not move forward until he has approval from all the U.S. regulatory groups that need to sign off on the project. But as you just heard from Maxine Waters, it doesn't sound like they got any closer to that point.
All right, so listen. I know you're over here. I know you're laughing, but this is the fact of the matter is this. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook has not been very transparent about what the project is, who everyone is that is involved in it, exactly what they plan on doing. All they really gave people was this one-pager, this white paper on the project, which is not enough when you're talking about creating a new currency and giving access to financial services to not millions but billions of people, right? Now, this is the other thing. Everyone knows, we're all journalists. Whenever you receive a pitch from something, you have to make sure that even if you know everything in the ins and outs of your project, that you need to make sure that other people understand that. So we can sit here and complain that congressmen and women don't understand cryptocurrency, that they don't understand, if this is going to be pegged to a hard currency or not. But the point is that it was his duty and it was his job to go out there and explain that to them and really convince them. And he didn't do his job. And also, frankly, I think that his hearing raised a lot more questions than it answered.
See, I disagree, because I think when you are in the position of the regulator, I shouldn't depend upon the person I'm regulating to have to explain and give me the information. You might as well have taken my 7-year-old son to talk to Mark Zuckerberg if you expect from Maxine Waters, who has no experience in the business world whatsoever, to be able to look at something as complex as cryptocurrency and to represent the United States in regulating it. It's absolutely ridiculous. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you get when you allow people to be in office for 20 and 30 years. You're not going to be able to keep up with modern technology of the United States of America if you have career politicians who are the ones sitting, someone who has no financial background running the financial committee.
Okay.
Come on.
No. First of all, Congress is not the regulators. There are regulatory authorities that Congress has oversight over. So the people in the regulatory positions absolutely know what Mark Zuckerberg is talking about. People in Congress are there to represent everyday people, your grandmothers that apparently Mark Zuckerberg is saying could use this, your immigrants that want to send money back home, and just your millennials, your Gen Xers, your baby boomers. People like my parents who can barely text apparently now should be given access to crypto, not saying that they shouldn't, but are now going to be able to use cryptocurrency. And it was their job to raise the issues that a lot of people have, which is Facebook is sometimes shady. They're not transparent, and they're sometimes just downright dishonest. They take your data and they sell it, and now all of a sudden they want to get into your pocket and be involved in the banking industry. And it is their job as our representatives to grill him on those issues.
I agree, but you can't grill somebody if you don't understand what you're grilling them on.
And I kind of had the same.
That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I also kind of shared the same idea when we're talking about congressional hearings here, right? I mean, there were a lot of questions that were asked specifically about the Libra project and then also just about Facebook's practices as well. And we've seen that from both sides. And I think that's why we saw so much of the advertising practices and the platform come up, because a lot of people didn't want to talk about Libra. You wanted Republicans and Democrats alike to bash Facebook for its waffling policies on what you're going to do around political ads.
It was because
the technical mumbo jumbo to the SEC.
No, but you again, if we, for example, get the opportunity to have President Trump talk to us about U.S.-China trade, right? We only have him for a couple minutes. We're going to ask him questions about everything, right? So as the Congress was able to get Zuckerberg in front of them for a hearing, yes, it was supposed to be about Libra, but they might as well tackle everything that they can with this man.
And get him on the record as well.
And get him on the record for it. Now, when it comes specifically to the Libra project, we have to be clear and also I think pretty honest with ourselves here. While not all of those lawmakers might have fully understood or fully understand cryptocurrency, they probably don't. I'll concede
no one in their office
I'll
understands
concede that point. I will concede that point. However, many people, even people in this space, don't fully understand the Libra project. Not that they wouldn't understand the intricacies of it, but they don't understand the project because they haven't even been given enough information to understand it. They don't know who's involved. They don't even know if it's going to be pegged to a hard currency or not. There's just so many questions that come up about it, and we just have Facebook coming out and saying, listen, we're not going to move forward with the project until regulators agree about this. Well, what's there to agree on? We don't know a lot about it right now.
And we heard about this from Senator Mike Rounds yesterday, who is actually for it, not just because he also doesn't know necessarily what it is, but because he disagreed with the principle of saying we should regulate something that is not even an idea yet before we know what it's all about because we're afraid of it. And that is a good point to make, I think, here when we're talking about the tough, where do you start, where do you end when we're talking about a project that hasn't even gotten off the ground yet and potentially shutting it down because we don't know what it is. Always problematic when you're thinking about innovation.